Hey everyone, Wanderbot here, and today I'm going to be trying out Proteus, an indie game made by Ed Key and David Kanaga. So, I've played a grand total of maybe 10 minutes of this game, and the easiest explanation I have for what it is more or less just kind of an atmospheric theme park adventure game. There's no real gameplay. All you can do is move, and currently it takes a bit for the world to generate because every single time you load in, it's completely different. So, there's one thing that always remains the same. You always start kind of halfway into the middle of the ocean, and I really don't know why, but it's kind of this neat thing because, here's this island in the distance that you can barely make out, but you can just kind of see it, and of course you have to go there. There's nothing else because the rest of it's just ocean. And the first thing I noticed here was this black tower, which, that's kind of disappointing. The grass sticks up a bit from the terrain, I guess, on slopes, but that isn't the biggest deal. But yeah, there's this just like ominous black parapet-style tower with no entrance, no nothing, and it just kind of sprouts from the ground for no discernible reason, which is kind of a neat aesthetic. It's kind of the monolith from 2001 Space Odyssey style, where you really don't know what it is. It's just mysterious and strange. But if you can't tell by looking at it, this game is a 3D adventure game made in the style of like pixel art, but of course done on a 3D plane. So you've got what look to be a bunch of like 2D images, and some of them will rotate with you. So if you notice, I'm kind of rotating around this tree, and the leaf textures, or leaf planes, I don't even know how to describe it, are rotating at me to make it look like it's more of a 3D object than it actually is, which is kind of a neat effect. This game is actually surprisingly resource heavy on the computer. My frame rate is hanging, somewhere between 25 and 27 frames per second, which is not ideal, but should be tolerable. But more or less, if you can't tell from here, we can travel to the other side, but we are on a fairly sizable yet small island. You can traverse it in a matter of a minute. There's a bunch of like weird totem poles that, like, that one's kind of a dog, maybe rabbit-ish, I don't know what that is. Kind of looks like an agumon. That's a bird for sure. I don't even know what that is. And then this maybe is a space invader. It's probably supposed to be a dragon, but its profile definitely looks like a space invader. I mean, look at it. Pew pew. Okay, so you're on this kind of tiny little island. It's got a couple different biomes that you can go through, like snow, rocky mountain, forest, and just like fields with, I think these are flowers. They're kind of weird. But then they're like rocks that fart sparkles. I don't even know. But this is the game. What you see is what you get. Ooh, a bunny. There's a limited amount of creatures in the game that you can run into in the environment, and they pretty much will react to your presence almost immediately as soon as you like get close to them. So right now I'm just going to chase this bunny across the map, because I can do so. So I think this is closer than I've ever really gotten to most of the bunnies. But I've only ever seen like... Oh, yep, there we go. There's the other type of creature I've run across. The chickens. And you can chase the chickens around the map. That bunny just went through the tree. That's weird. But... So, one other thing if you don't notice is it's got kind of this nice atmospheric soundtrack, which... as you kind of move around in the game, it actually does change depending on what you're doing, where you are, what, part of the island you're at. So, there are these huge trees that I noticed on one of my previous playthroughs, and they're, in a completely different location. But it's not an uncommon feature to show up within this game. I really dig the little chime chickens. As they run, they make chimey noises, but if you wait long enough, you can kind of hear them make weird, almost chocobo-y noises, which is wonderful. Also, if you're paying attention, the sun is slowly setting, so the sky is turning this kind of like nice pinky lavender. And pretty much soon, the sun will be down. I can't even see it anymore at this point. And this game does have, I wouldn't quite say realistic day-night cycles, but it will switch to day and night after, a couple of minutes. And it will also rain. It will... I don't know if it snows. That would be kind of neat. Looks like this tree did not make it. At least I think it's a tree. It's kind of hard to tell. This game thrives on minimalism. The music is minimalistic. The graphics are minimalistic, yet, still kind of this nice robust. And I do have to say, just looking at this game, the colors are absolutely fantastic. That's the moon, by the way, not the sun. I was very confused. I was like, why is the sun rising if it's getting darker out? But, like, the water effects are super minimalistic. They're just white bars that get thicker and thinner. Oh, there's a frog. One thing I've run across is that the frogs and the rabbits look almost exactly the same. And the only reason why I say these are frogs and not just green rabbits... more gravestone-y looking. Oh, this is a cemetery. This has got to be a cemetery. But yeah, as I was saying, the frogs are green and make slightly different noises than the rabbits. Because the rabbits kind of make more of a boingy noise, whereas the frogs are kind of a little bit more chimey. Ooh. And they're also fireflies. Once you hit kind of night mode, they show up and they make this kind of neat, wooey noise. I don't know how to kind of mimic that with my mouth. But also the chickens look to have fallen asleep. But they will freak out if you get close to them and run away. Oh wait, there's a house. I didn't know there were houses in this game. This is new. But since this game is procedurally generated, a lot of the features that you'll run into either will be present or won't be present on various playthroughs, and if you see somebody else play this game, they might run into something completely different than you. So it's kind of a wonky door. Too bad you can't like go inside or anything like that. Speaking of like going inside or whatever, there are two controls in this game. There's the left stick that moves you around, and then the right stick that pans the camera. Now, this game can be played with keyboard and mouse, but I was trying to, and more or less it wasn't detecting my mouse movements properly, and just the cursor would shoot all over the screen. And I managed to get into the game, at which point I ended up staring straight at the sun and wiggling around for a bit before giving up, plugging in a controller, and calling it a day. Let's see. I don't know what that is, but that looks like a cloud front rolling in. But oh, looks like the breeze is coming through. That's really neat, actually, that you actually have kind of a simulated wind effect with a nice noise as it comes through. I think, yeah, these oh wait, no, these are just white trees. I'm gonna head over towards this mysterious white object that's either one gigantic UFO or we're getting some rain, which is kind of a neat little addition. Also, one thing that I noticed almost immediately going into this game is that the trees will actually just kind of be losing leaves. The one complaint I would have is that they don't actually affect the ground texture below them, that everything is kind of just pre-generated and not dynamic, apart from, lighting and color and weather. But these clouds are kind of neat that you can actually see it like rolling through the trees. But yeah, so as I was saying, the experience you get playing through this game varies from time to time. So the last time I played through this, there was no shack in the middle of nowhere. There was, significantly less chicken groups, but it still had the giant trees and the rain cloud coming through that seems to be kind of coming and going and just sitting on the side of the map. The fireflies seem to also be pretty ubiquitous, but I was kind of hoping we'd run across it, but the last time I played, there was, it's kind of a nice belt of stars going up and around the moon. But, as I was saying, that was a thing. If you can tell the music is changing, it means there's something around here that I haven't seen yet. But, I keep going back to this. I saw a meteor shower the last time I played this, which is absolutely amazing. It looks to be snowing over there. Oh. Spook the chickens. Spook the chickens. Or maybe it's just raining again and the fireflies are loving it. And that's why I thought it was snowing. But there's kind of this nice meteor shower, and you could look up into it and pretend you were in, going in, like, hyperspeed. Light speed? Whatever. And it was just kind of this neat little effect that I didn't expect. And I think that's kind of a lot of the premise of this game. There's... Oh! Owls! That's what was making those weird noises that I was alluding to having never seen before. Let's see if we can get close to them. But it has a bunch of... I wouldn't even call them Easter eggs, but like features to this game that you won't see unless you replay it like 10 different times, and maybe, just maybe, you'll see everything. But I had no idea about the owls. The meteor shower was a surprise. The snow was different. And just overall, this entire game is kind of just a pleasant stroll through the woods, essentially. It's a pretty damn good simulation of that. Though, you know, it's kind of one of those that you just wander around, you appreciate it. But it's not going to be the most dynamic game ever. You can't even jump. Which, not a problem to not be able to jump, but it's definitely something that makes me feel a little constrained. Even if it's terribly useless. Huh. The, big black thing over here is making this kind of odd humming noise. Which is kind of neat. But, yeah. I don't know. This game is not meant to be truly discussed for long, or, like, even viewed. I think this is much better as a going into it and playing it and experiencing it than trying to go out of your way to watch somebody play it over and over and over again. This game just does not lend itself to repetitive play. It's more something that you load up if you feel like just relaxing for a bit. Now, one thing I noticed, I'm going to see if I can do it, is you can actually chase the small animals into the water, which is kind of a depressing little thing, because then they never come back. Which is really sad, actually. Ooh, dawn. Let's go see if we can find the sun. I think it's over this direction. But I think for this first impressions, I'm going to keep it to about... Oh, yep, there's an owl staring at me. It's going to fly away and probably disappear, because a lot of the creatures kind of come and go depending on what time of day it is. And I think there are probably more animals like that. I wouldn't put it past this game to have, like, deer or something. But it's just a pleasant game. There's nothing terribly spectacular about it, but just the entire package is just kind of nice. Oh, there's the sun over there. I guess I was closer to it, and then I went to go find the moon instead. But yeah. So, this has been Proteus, I don't even know what, walk in the park simulator. And again, it's kind of one of those weird indie games that set out to do something completely unique, and I think it succeeded in every single way it possibly could have, which makes it fantastic in its own right. Would I recommend it to anybody that likes, like, games for energy, puzzle solving, and whatnot? No. But if it's cheap... Oh, whoa. What are these things? They're like ducks. You get closer and they run away. Huh. That's cool. But yeah, would I recommend this to anyone and everyone? Only if you like kind of the really artistic style indie games. I think this would bore most people. It's more or less you just wander around, you find new things, and it's kind of like, oh, that's neat, and then you keep back, then you like go back to wandering around. And it's not a repetitive gameplay thing. After this, I think I'm probably going to uninstall it, not because it was a terribly boring game, but because I feel like I've already gotten what I wanted out of it. And that repetitive play would only... I mean, I'd probably see a bunch of cool new things like those weird quacky things that disappear. Oh, that's really pretty. The breeze through all of the trees from above. But, you know, if you really like artistic games, if you really like just wandering around and feeling like you're part of something, but at the same time just kind of this strange visitor, this is the game for it. It's very, very atmospheric and very enjoyable. Very relaxing. I think with this, I'm gonna go take a nap. See you guys later.